All right, welcome everybody to the Konflux Community Architecture Call on Tuesday, November 12th. By attending and participating in this call, you agreed to adhere to the code of conduct that we have published. And so let me pull up the agenda really quick and we can go ahead and kick it off. All right, so there's three topics on the agenda for today. I have the first one. It's really just a public service announcement. I went through the ADR PRs that we have open, and I changed the title for all the PRs so that there is no conflict between them. I think that in the past there has been some confusion, or we've created ADRs that have the same numbering. That's because multiple people push ADRs at the same time, and we're not very clear and transparent about what those numberings are. Sometimes we don't even include it in the files themselves, or we only include it in the file names. One of the things that I wanted to try and maybe part of the reason why people do this is because if ADRs aren't accepted, they don't want to merge them. One of the patterns that I want to try and encourage, if people are willing to, is let's merge the ADRs even if they're not accepted. We can put in there that the status of the decision is that they're rejected, but at least has record of some of the conversations that are relevant that we're having. And when we're rejecting these ADRs, I think that we should be clear about why we're rejecting them, what the reason is. So I don't know if anybody saw the message that I posted to the Google group, but does anybody have any thought on that pattern? All right, so everybody's okay with it. Sounds great. If nobody else has anything to talk about, Alex, you're next up on the agenda.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Let me just preface this topic with saying it's not really architecture related, but it is community related, and we don't really have another place to talk about this. So I just kind of want to raise this as a bit of awareness thing, but we also have some unanswered questions. So few of us have been meeting for the last few days to kind of discuss triaging of issues in the Konflux CI repo. There's a number of issues there, 50 plus or so. They range from feature requests to bugs to just general maintenance issues. And they also span across all aspects of Konflux. So it's my team, at least within Red Hat, is kind of responsible for watching these issues, and they get presented to us in our internal Jira deployment. But what we want to do is kind of move this more to the community. We want to do some triage of these issues. I know we have like an internal bug triage process, but we want to kind of possibly start a community triage meeting to kind of go over the issues that are affecting the community at large, rather than things that are just impacting Red Hat. And we feel like a lot of these are coming through, a lot of these requests are coming through these issues. So we just generally want to say that we're planning on starting up a community triage meeting, but we have unanswered questions about how we're going to do this. What do we do with issues that are filed more as feature requests? Because internally we certainly track those differently. And I don't think we have anything for upstream community feature requests. But there's also a request here for other maintainers. That's because these issues are not specifically things just meant for myself, my team to maintain. We require all components or all maintainers to kind of be able to pay attention to these issues, but also properly report back on them. I know that internally we have this process of replying or monitoring Jira issues that are reported as bugs, but it's kind of a one-way sync. So if you modify Jira issues, the upstream issues still stick around, or they don't get comments added. And so we want to just start shifting our focus to triaging and maintaining the upstream issues and letting just the downstream issues be a mere implementation detail for Red Hat teams. But we don't have answers to these questions yet. I just want to kind of put that out there that we're thinking of starting this. If anyone thinks this is not a great idea, please reach out or speak up now if you want. But yeah, I just want to leave it there for now. If there's any comments, yeah, please let me know.
Have you sent anything out to the listserv about this, Alex?
No, we just had this conversation yesterday, a few of us within Red Hat.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage you, if this is something you're planning on doing, to just send them out there.
Yeah, will do.
Okay.
Well, that's it for me. So thanks.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Vincent, I think the last topic is from you.
Yep. Yeah, so I wanted to showcase something. So internally we had a kind of feature request on things that times out because of resource quota or anything. And it's essentially it's about when you need advanced or more complex scheduling cases, I would say. Like for example, you need a virtual machine to be provisioned in some cloud, and you have quotas and then you cannot create them right now because you're running out of quotas. Today, whenever you start your pipeline in Konflux, they're gonna either you have to have a very, very huge timeout or no timeout at all, or an infinite timeout, I mean, or if they would time out before you can actually do some work. And so I'm looking at this. I recorded a small demo about using the pending status in the pipeline run. So if I were at my place, I would show the demo live, but I'm not. And so essentially what the demo does, there's a link here, is it's on pull request, but whenever a pull request is created, the pipeline run will be created on the cluster, but they will be created with the spec.status to pipeline run spec pending, which makes it pending, which means it's not going to start at all. It's just going to be there until someone starts it. And that someone can be manually a client that has access to the cluster, but the idea is more a controller that knows how to when to start this thing. And yeah, in my demo I showcase the manual one where I just kubectl patch, or I show one where there's a controller running, watching the pipeline runs in my tenant, in my namespace, and whenever the controller is dumb, so it's just doing a random time waiting for 1 minute or so or less, and then it starts the pipeline run. And the idea is that there could be a controller per behavior. Like I know you have some pipeline runs that needs something to be provisioned before that can actually run, or that needs to verify that they will be able to run successfully, at least depending on some quotas. Then the controller could be the one checking, or in case of the virtual machine provisioning, for example, it could even provision the virtual machine ahead of time, so that when you do the pipeline run, you kind of know you already have a few things. So yeah, there's a link to the line. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It does have a few possible shortcomings. I didn't explore them too much yet. like it just works today. But by doing that, we are kind of bypassing some pipeline as code behavior, like the watcher that queue things in pipeline as code will be completely bypassed. Meaning, right now the only problem that shows is that you see in the GitHub status and the GitHub checks, you see it as pending. And when you start it, you see it as pending until it succeed or fail, which is a bit sad, but like it could be worked, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, the idea was really to showcase why there's this pipeline run spec pending status. And essentially it's there upstream in the const pipeline to not have to code any concurrency ourselves or scheduling ourselves. We just rely on, if there's anything to do, we rely on something external. So yeah, I don't know if I was clear or if there's any question. Yep, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Vincent. I wanted to ask about the pipeline timeout. So when the counter starts, when the pipeline run is created or when it moves to the running state?
It starts when it moves to the running state. So if you create it with the pipeline run specs pending, the timeout counter won't start. And I think in the demo I showcased, like I have a pipeline run that has 1 minute timeout. I create the pull request. I wait for 2 minutes, doesn't time out. I start it and it's gonna time out 1 minute after I started it.
Cool, thanks. And can you please repeat again about the pipeline as code like downsides when it comes to the reporting in GitHub? Not sure I understood it.
Yeah, so today, this is like pipeline as code does something like this. Like internally, when pipeline as code create the pipeline run, it's gonna, if you enable the concurrency, it's gonna create it as pending and then move it itself. And because of the way it's written, at least today, if in my repo I have the pipeline like pending set, then there's a part of the code that doesn't get executed in the watcher. And this means the watcher itself won't update the checks status. And it's going to be the pipeline as code controller. It's an implementation detail, but essentially this means the watcher is not going to watch the pipeline run. So it's not going to update the running status of the pipeline run. So you will see the check as pending until it succeeds or fails. But that's a bug that could be fixed.
And the watcher doesn't like also updates GitHub when the pipeline completes?
I don't think it does, or at least it's. I mean, I'm not 100% sure because I don't know all the parts of the code, but like it, at least when I do this, it doesn't move it from pending to running, or I don't know the term in the GitHub checks API, but like, so it's just it will update it at the end if it succeeds or fails, but it doesn't show that it's running, which is kind of like if you don't have access to the UI or to the cluster, you're a bit in the dark knowing if your thing is running or not.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question?
Thanks, Vincent. And I did watch the video yesterday. I thought he did a good job at demonstrating functionality as well. If we have more questions,
I would have a question, like from process side, like what should happen? What should happen next if we think this is a good idea and we want to go ahead with it in Konflux?
So we would. I mean, I'm gonna feel an issue for the reporting bug anyway, but then it's more about what kind of I don't know how to call it, but like one kind of controller, external controller or built-in controller we would have that would do this for a few cases we have. Because right now, or if maybe there's no next step, maybe it's documenting that, oh, by the way, if you are a cluster admin or a Konflux admin and you want to enable XYZ behavior, you could ask or force users to create their pipeline run with the pipeline run spec pending and have a controller that does XYZ and showcasing something or having a demo controller of that sort. But like it really depends, because I think depending on what you do in Konflux and what you do in your pipeline run, you might have different behavior you would want to code there. So okay, probably initially just documentation and then figure out if there's anything worth doing in the thing. But like, for example, this thing could even mean removing any concurrency code from pipeline as code, because we could extract this in its own controller and make pipeline as code rely on this, like having whatever pipeline as code does today in its own little thing for concurrency, I mean.
Yeah, I meant this more like a question for architects, maybe. Like, what? Imagine I think this is a good idea. What should I do next? Like from getting approvals, and stuff like this.
I think that you can like showcase an initial idea in the architecture detail, just like to feel the temperature in the room, to see initial reaction. And if like you feel that this is the right direction, open an ADR to explain like what you want to achieve. I think that's the best way.
Cool, thank you.
Does anybody else have something they want to discuss on that topic? Does anybody have a different topic they'd like to bring up and discuss, even if it's not a fully formed idea, since we have folks here? All right, that takes silence to be a no. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll post this recording online on YouTube at the Konflux CI. There's a playlist for architecture recordings in the Konflux CI account. And we'll see you all next week.